from Jazz. Hey, Jazz, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, just checking. I don't want to accidentally start without everyone being there. The last time we played, just after leaving the ancient ash and dust covered catacombs, you were forced to deal with another find. Something dark and large, a construct very similar to Necrotech seemed bent on denying you passage to the outside. Despite its presence, you'd almost made it past, and you easily could have continued to flee were it not for the fact that you'd have to leave people behind, engaged and grappled by the splitting construct. The Harbinger, as you'd later learn its name was little challenge to your group, even depleted of resources and energy as you were, and you rushed outside towards the dark. But you would find the airship surrounded, circled by massive wyverns, mounted by armored soldiers, which you'd easily assumed were vampires. In your absence, Vidar appeared at a stalemate in negotiations, with few options but to surrender to a less than polite transport to the nearest city. Since you had emerged from the cave, appearing largely unharmed, however, your escort to the city would now be as guest, with all the privileges that that title affords. When you arrived at the Vampire City, located high upon a plateau, along the sheer rise of a colossal ashen mountain, you'd found the city virtually asleep. Signs of life and activity were sparse. Where in Antok or Polythreme, your arrival upon a silvery airship would always draw a crowd, whether it be of guards or civilians, there would always be a buzz of activity. But as you landed, you did so almost unnoticed. Under your continued escort, in a quiet, empty ballroom, you were then presented to a king and queen, where a few quips and tests of wit seemed to be exchanged between Vidar and this royalty, and you were presented with a condition. You'd receive free passage to towns of the Lycan tribes, unharried by the vampires, if you would present a front of cooperation and strength at a ball to be held in now 3 days' time. For the moment, Vidar agreed, and you were brought to accommodations befitting guests of the ruling houses. You had rested and recuperated, and left your room to explore and find a place to train. Of course, as guests, you find yourself accompanied by an escort, following you as you'd make your way further into the city, where signs of life now seem to stir. We left off as you wandered to an open market, as vampires around you seemed to congregate for the festival of blood, raised in anticipation of the coming ball. As you were counting your coin and making trades, this is where we begin today's session. And you are free to discuss the rest of your trades and finalize your transactions.
Beggar, I'm gonna go ahead and get the vicious weapon for the dagger, but I'll cover that with my funds.
Okay.
I think are we set on like the order? The horn, the boots, ring.
I mean, from my, the others are for me, so my input's good, but I'm fine with it.
Well, I know Huxley was going back and forth on the ornament.
Yeah, I think I want it.
Sounds good.
I think Hux could never not get the dragon cloak that lets him fly like a dragon.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So I think I have to take it.
All right, I think we're going with the order that it's posted last.
Okay. Then, as you make your trades, can everyone please roll me a perception check?
Oh, I have a natural 20. So 21, I think. 21.
I go with a 32.
Okay.
This is why I don't get excited about nat 20s on a perception check.
Look at that 20 still gives you like a little extra though. Water.
I'm just saying, I can't ever, even if my nat 20 compared to like a slight exaggeration, but Silas is like nat 1, it's equivalent.
Yeah.
My net 1 is a 16. Hey.
You can go ahead and finalize the transaction of items and funds.
Who is taking the Horn of Valhalla?
I would gladly accept it.
Silas is our summoner in the group. So.
The summoning
Well,
class.
that's why I'm asking. He's got like multiple.
Oh my god, I can summon so much stuff.
How many toots can you toot at once?
It's a lot.
You can toot 2 horns at the same time, technically.
All right, he takes.
I've seen a man flute like 3 flutes at the same time.
I'm good with that.
He just puts them both in his nostrils.
Oh, yes.
Oh baby.
I'll take the ring of spell storing. Are we gonna immediately feed the greater invisibility potion to Mr. Bottle?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Bottoms up.
Our friend Mr. Bottle is gonna be delighted.
Friend, this may be an understatement.
And then sending stones?
Let's see.
Probably realistically, we need to give one to Vidar.
Yep,
And
that
one with our
that
group,
actually was
eventually.
my basic plan when I thought of sending stones. Like
Perfect.
one way to actually contact him when we need to, or he could contact us. If,
And
for
we did
example, the ship is
promise,
surrounded by vampires riding dragon wyverns, whatever the fuck that was.
Oh yeah, we needed magic paper and stuff, right?
Yeah. I don't know, 200 gold? She didn't really say how much. 200 should be fine, right?
What was that about?
Our friend, what's her face? The wizard that we resurrected.
Yep.
Asked us to pick up ink and paper
Corinne.
for transcribing.
Yeah, if you wanted a sending scroll transcribe.
Oh.
The question is if you are getting sending stones, so you also still want that spell scroll.
It's still not
It might
bad
not hurt.
to have a sending
Let's
at
just
the ready.
let's buy some, and we'll find out what spells she's got available. Because surely it's not only sending, right? 250 would cover like what, a 5th level scroll? Is that right? Okay. Let's just buy 250. Should be 250 worth of gold of inks and paper.
Sounds good.
250 would be enough for a 5th level spell. Or multiple. Lower
Yeah,
level.
sounds good. We'll just stick with that for now.
Also, I guess no one really needs the Ring of Featherfall anymore, right? That one I now just switched the winged boots with. So
Is it attunement?
it is attunement, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So then I would also sell that in addition to the other stuff. For my personal gain in this case. Because I want to have a little bit of pocket money at the ready myself.
No.
We're just over 15,000 left. Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Evelyn,
Mm-hmm.
as you in particular are sort of going off a little to the side to purchase a dagger of your own, you get this uncomfortable feeling that you are being watched.
By someone
Silas,
other than an escort?
you see the escort sort of standing around, occasionally throwing glances your way, but they seem to sort of more be keeping an eye on your surroundings.
Mhm.
Silas, as you know, the group of you are wandering the market, trading items for coin, purchasing and selling. Just as you all sort of complete the largest of your transaction, receiving bundles of items and coin, you catch something out of the periphery of your eyes. Towards the outer reaches of the market, a hooded figure stands watching you intently. For just a brief moment, you're certain that underneath a darkened hood, you see silvery eyes staring right at you as you turned your head. At the moment you finish your head turn, certain that they did not notice that you'd noticed them. But you can feel their gaze still resting on you, as an uncomfortable shiver runs down your spine.
I will lean over to Ablin and pretend to show her one of the items I just purchased and will tell her, do not move your head. We're being watched by someone with what looked like silvery eyes somewhere behind us. That is not part of our entourage.
Outside?
They want to go outside.
No.
You are insane.
No. We just went outside. She doesn't get to go outside. Evelyn would telepathically communicate with Silas. I certainly feel that sense of being watched. Where are they? You said silvery eyes?
I will use my eyes to kind of not have to turn around, but just like with my eyes to show her the general direction where I saw them.
Silas seems to point in the general direction of the large gate leading further outside into the city.
Like this way?
Mm-hmm.
Like that creepy guy right there? Or is that not it?
Are you looking?
Not right. This is meta me asking this freaking creepy thing.
With his eyes, he's sort of pointing, this general direction. There's no, he can't really be that exact without, looking directly at them.
After saying that, then she would probably put away the dagger that she had and kind of glance around, like as if she's looking about, but trying to like scan in that direction.
As you do that, do you try to avoid specifically looking at whoever's watching you?
Not necessarily, because she's not gonna linger on them, but like the same way that you would like kind of like scan around and take things in a normal setting. Just because you look at somebody, that's not suspicious. If you like are acting like you're not trying to look at somebody, that could be more suspicious. But so not necessarily outright trying to avoid, but just trying to make it look like she's just casually looking around.
Can you go ahead and roll me a wisdom save?
Yeah. This isn't like guarded brain wisdom save, right?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Wisdom save. Yeah, that's a failure. That's that's a 6.
You wander across the guards standing ready at the gate, sort of going from one to the other, looking around the market, and then inevitably going past the figure.
Totally creepy guy.
As much as you want to avoid staring right at them, there is this moment where your eyes meet theirs as they stare directly at you. And in a quick moment, there is movement. A swivel of the cowled figure's hand. Another moment of eye contact. Before the figure suddenly bolts into a full sprint through the game.
Can't you talk to people when you make eye contact?
Yeah, but she wasn't trying to
Hmm.
at that point in time. There wasn't any sort of recognition or anything like that, right? On Evelyn's part.
Recognition as to a face, no. The last time you would have seen silvery eyes like this, however, was when you'd met the Silver Saint, which you would have later learned was Rommel.
She'll quickly glance back to Silas. Sorry, again telepathically. I think they saw me glancing. They took off in a run.
Want me to follow?
We have our own escort right now that might just cause issues if we follow. But your best judgment is fine.
Well, from what we've heard, they know how to follow, so I'll just let them know. I have to run somewhere real quick. I tell one of them, please try and keep up and follow me. And I start running south.
Okay. Silas takes off sprinting. You see the guard sort of
haven't told any of the rest of us.
Surprised by this very sudden announcement of taking off, sort of looking at each other as one just takes off after Silas, trying to keep pace.
I want to make eye contact with Huxley.
Uh-huh.
Does Huxley look concerned about this running away, or
He was distracted by admiring his new cloak. What? Why is he running?
I don't know?
Should I run?
One of us should probably.
I can fly!
Oh shit! Okay. Of course, Huxley wants to fly after.
I guess I will
course.
fly after Silas.
I can't fly yet, I
You
still
may
have to attune
go
to the
ahead
boots.
and move yourself.
That away.
Where's my token? Oh, there.
Well, yeah. Did we have time to attune?
Not at the moment.
So
You
so
would
no fly.
need about an hour to attune.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just run. While I will run while like holding my cloak
Like
out.
acting like you're flying.
Yes.
Making like whoosh whoosh sound.
Aaron,
The
Red,
people-
you see the other two guards left behind moving closer, still
Mhm.
somewhat confused about the situation, keeping a close eye on you at the moment.
Evan will glance to Rhett and wait for Rhett to look at her.
Yeah.
And then we'll telepathically communicate as well. There was a figure with silvery eyes that was watching us, then took off. Silas decided to head
Huh.
off after them, but out loud she's saying, I'm not quite sure why he headed off. He said he had an errand to run.
He does like running.
She'll mention that Silver Eyes could be related to the same kind of glances looking at like the Silver Lady
Mhm.
or contact.
Yeah, there's something weird going on.
Huxley and Silas. You make your way out through the gate, running with guards in tow. As you pass by the gate's guards, there is a look after you. As obviously you are charging through the gate
Being
with
chased by
guards in tow. But you continue running out the other side of the large gate. There's a moment where the city opens up to you. A moment where you look around searching for the figure. Go ahead and roll me another perception roll.
Could I also grab my Bloodhound amulet to see if I can like maybe get some kind of scent or smell of this thing?
Okay.
I don't know if it's even possible
Might.
to smell it, but I will at least try. Perception?
Yes.
30.
Of course. You rush out under the structure, looking around frantically. There are multiple figures, all of which, for a moment, could be the cloaked individual. All of the vampires around you seem to, unfortunately, be somewhat similar in their dress style, favoring dark cloaks and keeping to the shadows. But as you look around, you do spot them, as they appeared to have stopped, as they were looking to see if you were following. Not in the streets like the others, but upon the rooftops, far above the street. Of course, as you spot them, they once again break out into a run.
I will point up there and shout to Hux and the guards. A figure has been following us. It's up there on the roofs. And I'll start following.
Please. 13. You see them sprint, jump, and climb over the rooftop. With incredible speed. You have one full turn to move.
Did
How
my
high
turn
up
start
are
when
the
I was still
roofs?
back here, or did my turn start when I already reached the
You
house?
would have started here at the start.
Okay.
How high is the roof?
The roof is about at its lowest point, about 10 feet high. Towards its highest point, it would be about 20.
And I run and jump up the roof at its lowest point. I can jump 11 feet with a running high jump.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like you'd be able to clear it.
I move 30 feet and then use my Misty Slip to teleport up here. And then is that a bonus action, Misty? I don't remember. Let me see real quick. This is the bonus action, yeah, good. So then I will use my action to dash. And then I will use feline agility to run over there.
Okay, you run all the way up to them.
Yeah? Wait! Who are you?
There's this moment where you dash over the apex of the roof, sliding down and coming close enough to grab them. Again, there's this quick turn of the cloak and eyes staring at you as they scramble to get away from you. And as a cunning action, they're gonna disengage because you're so close and continue running. You see them run over the height of the roof, sliding down the other side, and you hear an impact. And again, you would have a turn to move.
seeing Silas just be so much faster, I will transform into an air elemental.
This is going flawlessly.
I'll try and grab that cloak next time I get closer. Jesus.
I moved my speed is 90 and I dash.
At least this way we
Wait,
also
no,
try
yeah,
out
it's
how
100.
fast the vampires are.
Wait, I can get in front of him.
Using their bonus action to dash instead of disengaging, you would have an attack of opportunity. As with both sort of arms in front of them, they try and barrel through and out.
Yep.
Can I try, instead of stabbing them, just try and cut the rope? Because I want to see what they look like.
The rope.
Yeah,
can
like
grapple as a
cutting
bonus
off the
as an
clothing.
attack of opportunity as well.
You. Where would you try to cut?
I wouldn't really cut. I feel like I would just try to pull off the hood instead of like actually attacking and doing damage. I would just like, I don't know if that would be counted as an attack or dexterity check or whatever.
You could. It would be similar to a grab.
Mm-hmm. So strength?
Yes.
Oh god. I'm just a
Get
weak
a
kitty.
24 to hit.
Wrong die.
Okay.
I'm a weak kitty.
That is a 12.
I rolled a 9.
Alright. There's this moment where you grab onto the hood. But even as you pull, it slides out from under your grasp.
Can I have a reaction that when a creature moves within my reach, I can force it to make a DC 16 strength save. So can it make a DC 16 strength save?
As it's a reaction, what is it a reaction to? Does
When
it
a
say?
creature moves within my reach.
Okay. Strength save, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. That is 17 plus 1, 18.
Well, it succeeds.
Okay. Does it still take any damage or anything?
No.
Then as it dashes away, it is then also going to use, obviously, its movement. So, proceed on the next one. As it continues to run. And you have a turn of movement.
We don't want to hurt you, we just want to talk.
You hear distinct poofing sounds behind you as your vampire escort try in an effort to catch up both Misty Step to gain some more ground. Do you move your movement?
I did.
Can I knock it prone?
That depends. How are you trying to knock it prone?
Well, like the reaction thing that lets me, like, I feel like I can push. Like I can push someone prone as a reaction, so I feel like I can also push someone prone, just by kind of, slamming into them.
You could do a shove action as an attack. If you
Yeah,
have an
yeah,
action.
that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, I use all my movement, but I still have an action.
Double check. Shove action works.
I think it's an athletics check,
I think it might be the same as the grapple.
which I think is also an athletics check.
Yep, you make an athletics check.
I'm not very strong. I can rage first, I guess. Yeah, I'll rage. I'm like, stop it! Hold still! That is a 17.
Yeah, you succeed. You shove them to the ground. There is a distinct clink of metal as you do. Beneath the cloak, you see these bits and pieces of silver that seem to shimmer in what little light seems to fall out of the adjacent buildings and onto the street.
I will try to communicate to it that it should stop, and we don't want to hurt it, but that's all I can do.
As you shove this figure to the ground, you hear it mumbling, almost chanting in this repeated phrase you hear. In his blood the stars are written. He will give us mercy when all this is again. We will no longer suffer. We will only be. In his blood the stars are written. He will give us mercy. Just ad nauseam, repeating that same phrase. And then you see this poof as they misty step up to the roof. And continue running. And you have another turn to move.
This is getting ridiculous.
From down here, it's about 30 feet up.
I can fly, so.
As soon like
you fly in a straight line up.
Yeah, like.
I will blow my horn, rallying horn, and I can choose allies that can also move in addition, and I will choose the two vampires behind me, so they can move an additional 30 feet.
Oh, jolly,
Oh.
jolly.
Or is it 30 feet or is it just movement? Probably just, yeah, their movement speed, whatever it is.
Well, they can choose, but they're not gonna heal.
Yeah. Yeah, they can choose, but yeah. I do it so they can move faster if they wanted to. I will move 30 feet more too.
I will drop out of wild shape. Am I-
Okay.
Actually, no, no, not while it's on the roof, I guess. No, I will continue.
Okay.
I will try and knock it prone again, though.
Okay. With the shove action?
Yeah.
That
is... Yeah, I
25.
failed.
Okay. You get an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, can it make a strength save?
That is an 8.
It, okay, it says it's knocked... it's pushed up to 15 feet away from me, but I guess my other ability says in a direction of my choice, so this one doesn't say that, so I assume it's just a straight line. But it's also knocked prone,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes
So,
10 points of damage.
points of damage. Of course, they're gonna get back up from prone and use the rest of their movement. A little less movement than they would have had, given they were knocked down onto the roof. And you have another turn of movement.
I blow the horn again.
Okay, this time I will move to there and then drop out of my wild shape and try and grapple them.
As you drop down in their path, you see they're heading further city to what looks like a large building. Unless they were planning to simply go around it. And you try to grapple them. Ah, fuck. Ha. Oh, fuck.
33?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You clamp onto them like a barnacle, stopping their movement even as they strain against you. In their struggle, they fall prone with you sort of arms wrapped around them that they cannot continue on. And you hear them continue mumbling. In his blood the stars are written. In his blood. Please, star blessed.
we're not hurt. We don't want to hurt you.
One of the figure's hands rips free from beneath the dark cloak, holding up a strange, spiked metal object. Silas, as you move around the corner, seeing them struggle on the ground, Huxley holding on to this figure that is running from you, you see a graceful hand reaching out towards an object held aloft by the figure on the ground. This figure reaching for it, almost fading into the lines out of seemingly nothing, emerging from sparkling dust clouds and these shreds of a star-littered sky. Can you go ahead and roll me a history?
Sure. It is my specialty. 7.
The threshold was not very high because there stands a figure you have seen before. Last in Polythreme. When almost all of your troubles began. Standing atop the pile of rubble besides the Hierophant, when hundreds of guardsmen fell at the feet of 4 agents of the Dominion. You remember that she had been called the Star-Blessed Witch by the Hierophant. And the ominous fear of that day crawls into your spine, suppressed only by what you have been through since. And you have a turn to act.
I'll not blow the horn this time. Or dash around her, I guess. Just be on the other side, and I would just like... Please stop. Can't we just, like, for once, like... fucking talk?
Huxley, is there anything you do as your trapped prisoner holds up this object as the other figure reaches for him?
I will try to take the object. Kind of, like attempt to wrestle the guy down and like just stop him.
Okay. Give me a strength check.
Strength or athletics?
Athletics.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
$31.
Okay, I don't need to look it up. Yeah. You pull down their arm with relative ease, even as sort of you pull this arm down. The hand of the figure standing now above you sort of follows to take the object, but you manage to pull the hand down far enough to grab it with your other hand. However, if you do grab it, you would release your hold on the grapple, as you would need your other hand.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, you clamp your hand around this object, which is rather painful as it is relatively spiky. and sharp. You clamp your hand on the object and pull back, releasing the grapple. The hooded figure immediately scrambles free, looking at both you, Silas, and the person between you two, assessing the situation, confused and in panic. And you see them lunge back towards you to wrestle you for the artifact. Silas, as you've walked around to block their path, as you see Huxley wrestling the artifact from the hooded figure's hands, you see the figure in front of you fade again. At which point you hear a howl from the figure currently lunging for Huxley, falling to their knees. No! Please! We have not failed. We can still... The stars... In his blood, the stars are written. He will give us mercy. When all is his again, we will no longer suffer, we will only be.
I will slowly walk over there and try and rip off the freaking hood.
You rip off the hood. Beneath the hood is a vampire in an odd set of clothing. Their eyes are as you'd seen them, this sort of silvery, sparkling, clear gray. But other than the eyes, they appear to be just vampire. The clothing they wear is odd, almost ritualistic, made of these reddish tatters that do appear to be colored the same way you'd stain clothing in blood, upon which there are numerous sets of these almost twig-like forms of silver.
I would like to take a look at the guards that were following us. I want to try and figure out the reaction when they see this person. If it's something they might have seen before, or if they are confused or surprised to see this one, or if it seems like a normal thing for them to see.
Go ahead and roll me an insight check.
Alright. Whenever I roll inside, it's always terrible. I have a +9, but I always roll a 1 or 2, so it's an 11.
It's not that difficult to gauge their reaction. As they come running around the corner, at first they slow down as you have the quote-unquote culprits cornered. But as you rip off this hood, there is a sort of change in their reaction. They move a little faster again, moving in close towards the person you have sort of on their knees on the ground. And they appear a little bit more tense again.
Do you know this man?
You see one of the guards looking to the other, as if looking for approval. No. Not them. But they're kind.
Good or bad?
Criminals. You did good apprehending them.
Silas is inside so happy that it wasn't like, not this place is religious cult that everyone follows and we are in deep shit right now. So he's pretty happy that this is not the thing, that they actually did something that won't have repercussions probably. So sighs out. Whew. Well, you're welcome.
We will take care of the situation from here. If you would be so kind as to rejoin the others and inform them
Of course.
that we will not be rejoining the escort.
Of course. And I will take a look at Hux and I hope that Hux will just take the artifact and let's go.
Was there anything else? Anything they said?
I think I will repeat the thing they said. I don't remember it now, Beggar, but I would repeat it to the with the stars and whatnot to see.
And otherwise, how did you notice them?
Well, let's just say we are used to being followed, and something about him was off. Especially those eyes. Something very clear to see. After all, I am a bodyguard.
As you, of course, are distinctly aware that the other figure had faded before they came around the corner. Can you go ahead and roll me a deception check?
Sure.
I hope that you're also thinking, and a court wizard.
You know what? I would just let me just give you this beautiful divine slip here.
Okay. Sure.
That's much better. It's a 17.
Okay. There's another short moment where you see the guards sort of looking at each other before one of them nods towards you. Good. We'll make sure to take care of everything else that comes up. You will not be questioned about this any further. You are, after all, guests of honor. I would appreciate if you didn't take this, and you see them sort of yank at the figure on the ground, at their arm, pulling them up, as a sign that the city is in any way unsafe.
Of course not. Sorry for causing such a ruckus. It was just when reflexes kick in, can't hold myself back.
Given the circumstances, that is understandable.
Alright, we will return then. Let's go, Hux.
You see them take the now prisoner, one arm each, sort of hefting them between the two of them. The person, the figure that you hunted down, still almost catatonically continuing to mumble those words as they haul him off. And you return to the rest of the party.
As we slowly walk back, I turn to Hux.
I think we were walking toward death.
I will turn to Hux and we'll be like, you know that this is probably our only chance to check out the city without having someone at our heels, right?
Do you think he was running to the house? Or just running away?
I mean, you know what? I don't think we need to check out the city even further, right? I mean, at least these guards, they take their job seriously, but they seem to be alright. Okay. So, I guess we just go back before Evelyn and Red, like, do something stupid to, like, rescue us or something. So, we just should go back, tell them what happened, and figure out from there what to do next.
When we're out of sight, can I look at the object?
Yeah.
That I'm holding?
Sort of having it clutched in your hand, you notice that it, in the scuffle at least, has drawn a little blood. It is a roundish object, almost sort of diamond shaped towards the bottom, sort of tapering out. And it is almost entirely covered in these spikes, except for one side of it, which appears to be emblazoned with a large crystalline structure. The whole object is metallic and fairly heavy. It is either fully, or at least in part, at least as far as you can tell, made of gold.
What do you think this is?
I mean, it seemed to be something that was able to contact someone from the Dominion, right?
Did I give it to the rat? For now?
Yeah, I
Keep
think
it
that's
safe.
I think that's a good idea, actually. You're so smart, Hux.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
Huxley does look like Vidar right now, so
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like the little...
pretty smart.
Well, not
Chibi
exactly,
Vidar.
more like Vidar's son or something. But can I give the object to the
Retribution.
Yeah,
retribution?
you turn around and you summon Retribution, which is currently holding on to a supreme potion of healing.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay? You take the supreme potion of healing. And you give it the object.
We could like...
I don't know if Evelyn would have been walking back towards the others, other than just staying there based upon the reaction of the escorts, is what she would have gone by in attempts to keep things in a politically good situation. She wouldn't
They
have
are
insisted that they-
keeping close to you, but
I would have
if you were
suggested,
to
like,
move, they would be following you close by.
we should probably just make sure they don't get into trouble accidentally or anything. Just like, not running, but be like walking toward the direction that they took.
As long as the guards
As
were
long as the
close
guards
to
are
it, then Evelyn
okay with that.
They do not attempt to stop you, but they do follow you fairly closely.
then in a very casual walk.
Yeah.
Then Evelyn would have made her way slowly in that direction.
I'm just listening for sounds of yelling and
Okay, as you swap out items with Retribution, do you start heading back, or do you, in fact, go wander?
No, I will go back. I don't
Okay.
have really a reason to wander right now. Especially with the information and stuff we got right now, seems to be more important to just get back to Evelyn and Red.
As Evelyn and Red, as you would sort of wander through the large gateway at a much more leisurely pace than the others, as you come out the other side and into the streets of the city, you would likely see the others walking down the long road to the left side of the gate. They're still quite a distance away, but you can spot them fairly easily, just sort of wandering down the street. You note that the guards that were with them are nowhere to be seen.
Evelyn decides to wait. She would stop and wait for them to come to her. She wouldn't.
Have our guards noticed?
Yeah.
They too have noticed the other two, and they stand beside you, probably a little bit more tense if you were to sort of turn and look at them, but
I just have
At the
one of
moment, they
my
don't make
fingers
any-
pointed back at him under my cloak. Just to-
Evelyn is doing everything to look as just mostly like a put upon than anything else, that like her bodyguard ran off and now he's finally coming back, so he better come all the way to her. She's not gonna walk to him.
Yeah, and he will. And he will take a very deep bow in front of you. Lady Quadsilver, your safety has been ensured. The criminal has been taken care of. And I stare into her eyes.
Yeah, out loud she's saying something along the lines of like kind of lightly berating tone of you should be more informative before heading off. Thank you for taking care of the matter all the same. But in her head, like telepathically, she's instead saying, you two are both alright? Any issue? Were you able to track down the individual?
We have a lot to talk about. Should maybe do that when we have a moment in time.
Then we'll wrap things up and head back. And your
As
guard?
You pause to have a shallow conversation as the real conversation happens in your heads. One of the guards cuts off that surface level conversation with a simple question. Where is your escort?
They took the criminal into custody and right now bringing him to, I guess, where he belongs. I don't know how you work here, if you have a prison or some other place to hold criminals. They said they knew this kind of person. They didn't know the person per se, but the clothing, and I will describe the clothes he wore, this kind of clothing seemed to be something they recognized, and so they took him into custody immediately.
As you give a description of what the criminal was wearing, there is another short glance exchanged between the guards, followed by a sigh and a nod. Very well. We should escort you back to your rooms for now. Make sure everything is taken care of and your safety is ensured. If you would want to head out again after, we will provide a new escort for you.
That would be preferred at this point. I think we've done everything we needed anyways. I've at least finished my shopping. And then she'll turn and start walking back the way they came.
I mean, I'm gonna shadow her hard, especially right now.
The guards walk a little closer to either side of your group as you're sort of shepherded back to the barrow. There's definitely a little bit more tenseness to the situation of the escort, where before they were just sort of casually following you along. You now see them very actively scanning the surroundings as you make your way back through the street. Before, unless you wish to do anything else, you would arrive at your room.
Hmm. Everyone will kind of make the way all the way across into their space.
Oh man, I wish we could take a breather at some point.
Alright.
A breather.
Yes.
Did you stir up more trouble?
Some things occurred, and Silas and Hux were going to fill us in on that once we were in a more private situation to be able to explain it. Evelyn's kind of doing a quick glance around. Detect magic is up, trying to make sure that there is nothing anything obviously magically detectable that's somehow listening into their conversation right now.
You don't pick up anything that would indicate that.
She's just paranoid.
Yeah.
I mean, I could use a bath. Unless somebody stops me, because it takes a minute to cast, I'll start casting Magnificent Mansion.
You say as there's technically a bath thing right here. But...
Yeah, that's one subpar. My house is better.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think these lodgings are secure, but of course, carefulness is never ill at place.
Does anything prevent me from casting that?
You try and cast Magnificent Mansion?
Yeah, it sounds like Bedard's saying that's okay.
You cast Magnificent Mansion.
Head in there.
Also, since Vidar said he was basically dissing me again by saying, "Oh, did you cause trouble again?" So I will just be like, "Well, actually, I think we've left quite a good expression. Impression is the word. Yes, I know words. Left quite a good impression here by catching a criminal that has, has stirred up some problems. So I think we actually did the city a favor."
Good. I would hope you would know how to behave yourselves as honored guests, given your involvement or closer involvement with the upper reaches of political echelons, especially recently.
Yet, we would never try to stop someone from taking a bath, for example, by attacking them. And I would like a glance at Vidar.
He stares back at you questioningly. He has no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I guess I slowly have to get the
yeah,
hang of
it's
this.
just-
What? I didn't want to talk over you. Sorry.
No, Evelyn's just as soon as Rhett has the torch, she's like, I just need to walk away for a moment. And she's just heading into the. She's not pausing. She's just heading straight into the Magnificent Mansion.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you let Vidara come into your mansion this time?
Yes.
Could, if you would mind the room.
You can come in too if you wanted to Corinne. It
I
is
think
pretty
it
nice.
is prudent one of us keep watch.
Oh, yeah, here's your ink. We don't need the standing scroll
Thank you.
immediately, but you know.
But you still want it?
Well, we'll talk about options later on, maybe.
I'll hold on to them for now.
Right. So we saw the silver-eyed individual that you took off after.
The what?
Red is
right.
completely on.
Silver-eyed.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
what happened from there?
It turned out it was actually a servant of the Dominion. And I will repeat what the servant said all the time about the stars and whatnot. That's what that person was saying. But it seemed to be like a normal person from here. It was a vampire, obviously, but he had these silvery eyes and was whispering these words all the time. And then he pulled out an artifact when we apprehended him and tried to contact the Dominion, and partially managed to do that because all of a sudden we saw an image of... What was her name again? The wizard? No, was it a wizard or
Starblessed Witch.
the Starblessed Witch. This one of the 4 beings that attacked Polythreme back then. And she seemed to be hearing the words of this person. It was like she was being like summoned, or at least being
And she just
told.
appeared
She just appeared, yes, from this artifact, it seemed like.
in the middle of this city.
Yes.
You said she was partially... Was she physically
She
there?
was... I'm not sure. I wasn't able to like really touch her, and to be honest, I didn't dare to just try and touch her. It didn't feel appropriate
fair.
in that moment. I was trying to actually talk to her from a little bit of a distance, but she didn't seem... She did seem to see things happening around her. She was taking in things. But then Hux managed to wrestle the artifact out of the hands of this person because we feared that maybe she was completely summoned in the city, and that would have been bad. So yeah, yeah.
Then what happened?
No one saw her.
With the witch.
No. Oh, the witch just disappeared after the artifact was wrestled out of his hands. It just slowly vanished again, this image of her.
And the individual that you said was apprehended?
Yes, the guards, then that's the part that I told you that was actually true, that like the guards recognized the clothing, and yeah, they were like, oh, this is the kind of criminal that has been roaming around for quite a while now in the city. And what they didn't see was because the image of the witch flickered away before they came around the corner, we were actually faster, so they didn't see the witch. So I don't think anyone but Hux and me saw her.
What of others? Were there people around you?
Did you see any, Hux? I didn't see any, actually.
Not when she appeared. I don't think. I didn't see anyone either.
To be fair, I didn't really check like the windows and every corner because we were like, it was a shock to see her, you know.
Were you out in a place where were you hidden? Were you in an alley, on the main streets, in a house? Where were
like
you?
quite like a normal street, I would say. Like not in an alley or in a house. It was on a street. in the center of a street.
I think what we might be getting at is, do you think there are more out there that this person is trying to run away to get help or something? Or just
I mean,
one?
it was there
In
was this
the
weird
first
building.
place.
There was this weird building, Hux, right? Looked like maybe they wanted to hide in there or like flee in there. So maybe that building has something to do with something. Could have been just a random
You
escape
said
route.
you were chasing them, but why?
Yeah, yeah.
They were watching us
On
and then
Marketplace.
took off in a run.
And we saw silvery eyes, so that's what made us very suspicious of the person.
And you are certain the guards did not see the witch?
I mean, about 98%, yeah.
And what exactly did you tell them?
I told them we have been watched on the marketplace, and this guy had these weird silvery eyes, and they could see the eyes. He was right in front of them, right? So I was like, we saw these eyes, and he was watching us, so I had to assume this was some kind of like criminal that wanted to hurt my lady here, and me as a bodyguard had the duty to apprehend the criminal.
Nothing more.
No, I don't think so. Looking at Hux.
And they believed you.
Well, they said something like, well, we won't ask you any more questions about this, but please just don't think of this as your safety not being assured here. And basically he was like, try and forget about this thing, and we will forget about what you did. Kind of deal.
And the artifact?
Well, Retribution has it.
And did they see it?
Don't think they did. And if they did, they didn't mention it or look at it. As far as I could tell.
I hid it from them.
The whole situation seems so contrived or incredibly coincidental.
You think this could be a plan by the Dominion to... You think this artifact could be a trap of some kind?
Did it appear to you so?
At least
I,
we didn't
of
bring it in
course,
here.
was not there. But the way you explain it appears so provident.
Certainly take a look at the artifact and try and gauge exactly what it is, but perhaps that's better. It's hard to say if it would be better to look at it here or back in the room out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's my opinion back in the room out there. In case it is a trap,
Perhaps
listening,
knowing
spying.
what that is will help us decide the best next action.
They gave it to Retribution so they couldn't use it to look at us.
That's really smart.
Right.
As you study it, do you think it's worth still, perhaps, trying to gather more information here at court, like I was planning, to, try to get a little audience to the King and Queen, just to entertain them, but listen at the same time?
I believe we should wait on encountering the king and queen until the ball. They seemed irritated.
Huh.
It may have, well, something to do with this criminal you were chasing.
Okay.
There are more of them about than I have an inkling of what could be happening in the country at the moment. So far, I've only heard rumors. But I have not been able to talk to many of the nobles. I do not think they will arrive until a few days further. They will be there at the ball, and if by then we do not have the information we need, we should do our best to listen in on whatever we can glean from them.
Ox, could you describe what the artifact looked like?
It was like a gold ball with lots of spikes and red gemstones, and it cut my hand.
It got your hand.
Yeah, it was really spiky.
That's probably not good.
Right, then let's
It
get
is
a quick,
certainly nothing I've ever heard of.
maybe a quick look then, if it's interacted with your blood. I'd prefer to err on the side of caution. Evelyn will move to leave. To go back to the other room.
I am no
Sources.
authority on divination, but should there be any conjuration involved in this artifact, Corinne will be your expert of choice.
I am going to light the lantern of revealing, so anything invisible within 30 feet can show up. In case there
You
is any.
see 13 naked women.
Oh my god!
You light the lantern of revealing. So far, revealing nothing.
Evelyn's gonna summon Retribution and then turn around and look for him.
Does
see if he's
anyone
holding-
else look though? As
Well, she was
Aelin's
gonna
trying
summon
to-
There's
him
probably
like
a little back
behind
and
the
forth.
table or something like that to try and
As
be
you
like
find
below
a
the
moment
height.
and a spot where nobody is looking, as you
Yeah.
turn back, you see Retribution standing underneath the table.
And glancing and see holding the artifact still.
Holding the artifact is maybe a bit of an overstatement. You see him sort of hand on like two of the spines.
Okay.
By no means is it, holding it close or holding it up in any way.
Then
But there
Evelyn will
stands the
try and-
artifact.
carefully take it, cautious of getting cut by it.
The spikes appear incredibly sharp, but you find enough space in between these spikes to sort of place your hand in a way that you are not getting impaled. The thing is about the size of a small child's head, and it looks like an urchin of gold. These just spikes protruding out of almost every bit of its rounded surface, except for the side, and has this sort of crystalline, gem-like structure embedded into it. There is a spike that is slightly reddish, where you assume that it has drawn blood, as Huxley grappled for it.
Yeah. Everyone will kind of move over and kind of carefully situate and try and cast Identify over a minute.
Okay. You cast Identify, and as you do so, you are someone stumped with the results. As what you get back in readings is odd. Almost like you're getting a reading of gibberish back. This object, weirdly, seems to be beyond your understanding, or at least the spell's understanding as it functions. You get a rough idea of what the object is. It requires a large amount of energy to activate. And when activated, it would release the energy that is stored inside. Most likely, you would assume as some form of spell.
I haven't ever seen anything quite like this before. I can't quite make sense of it. It seems like it would need a large amount of energy for something to be activated that's stored inside of it, but I couldn't presume what that is.
You can also go ahead and make me an Arcana check.
Yeah. Do that. I'm gonna give you my snip. Again, horrible rolls. That's 14.
There is an incredible amount of magical energy stored in this object. In terms of a feel of energy, you'd probably have felt similar sort of storage of energy in things like Ioun stones. But the order of magnitude is several degrees higher. And the strongest sense of magical energy that you get from this object is evocation.
This is incredibly powerful, whatever it is, though maybe something with evocation. Corinne, I'm not sure if you have any insight yourself.
It does look like a spiky grenade.
Well, just as Vidar said, I also am not an expert on divination, but I can tell you that there is likely no conjuration in this artifact. I do not think it could be used to summon anything.
Well, it seemed like the guy wanted to give the object to the lady.
Maybe they're planning another attack, like happened in Polythreme. Wasn't there a big explosion they did there? Right?
But then why in front of you?
Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe they
Why
want
not
us to
have
think
given
that.
it to her before, at any point?
What did the guy say? They haven't failed, but something?
It seemed really desperate to give it to her. Because we were gonna take it away, I guess.
So perhaps the object was intended to be used.
Maybe, oh, it looks at Evelyn. Maybe the right people didn't chase him, so it didn't use it.
What would have been the right people then?
Or the chase was never supposed to happen.
Or that.
There
don't
is.
think I would have noticed them if Silas hadn't pointed them out.
There is a ball in 3 days, where the majority of noble houses will have some sort of representatives.
Yeah.
But so far all we have is speculation. Whether or not to inform anyone about this, whether or not they already expect something like this to happen to begin with, I am unsure.
I mean, like you said, they weren't easy to read, but they don't seem like they're already, I don't know, entirely taken over by the Dominion. If they're aware of some type of presence, I mean, they told us they weren't friends of the Dominion, so.
If they were, I doubt they would have us wander so freely.
Exactly.
He throws you a glance as freely as we are wandering.
It was worth testing.
There appears to be, at least confirmed, a strife in the kingdom. I'm not sure if you picked up from my jest to Her Majesty. We are not at the Grand Palace, where the royal family would usually reside. We are high up on the Ashen Mountain, a place difficult to reach, a city that could be considered a fortress of sorts. And I do not think that is a coincidence.
If there's this level of threat, I would say that we should inform them rather than waiting on them to inform us.
It would certainly explain why we are to show face and pretend like everything is all right.
Right.
I will broach the subject. Perhaps in a day's time. I'm sure your apprehension will make its rounds and the guard will already be on high alert.
I can see if I can glean any further information from this thing. In the meantime.
Gather what info you can. And be ready for us to make a hasty retreat should the situation change in a way that is disadvantageous to us.
Understood.
So, this Starblast Witch, this is the one we think was slinging magic around in Polythreme like nobody's business, right?
She was there. But she was not the one who killed the guards.
That was the other one.
The Hierophant.
Okay. I thought there was someone killing
There
words
was
and whatnot.
another slinging bolts of lightning.
Not this one though. Okay.
Not this one.
I'm just considering if we should prepare any type of countermeasures or I don't know, anything like that as we think about what to do in the next couple days.
I would assume in the same ways that you've already faced.
Yeah.
You are perhaps the only ones that have faced more than one agent of the Dominion. We have killed one, wounded another, or at least forced them to retreat. As far as knowledge goes, you know more than anything.
Do you think the title Starblessed Witch is a name?
I believe it might be indicative. As Gromo explained to us, all of the Dominion follow certain archetypes. The Outsider, the Hierophant, Hriakris, whom we killed, being the Warrior. If she is a star-blessed witch, then I believe we can assume that there will be spells involved. Rituals, perhaps some sort of pacts. No, that's the Luna Witch Ranny. And it was before Elden came out.
If they are somewhere that can just appear, I wonder if they're on a different plane right now. Where she is.
Wouldn't be surprising.
If that's the case, that might be a really bad idea, but we could try to strike her sooner than when she expects. Go on the offense.
I'm not so sure if they wouldn't expect him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can use the spiky thing to plane shift.
Well, yeah, if this is enough of a name that she regards it as a name, I could just summon her to here.
There
Maybe.
has not been as much sudden appearances and disappearances with any of the other agents so far. Of course, Hycrones did escape us, but it appeared a much more efforted undertaking than what you describe. There is the chance that the progression of the Blight has eased their passage back and forth, but there is nothing we have in the matter of evidence to either of those theories.
Well, you broached a topic with your contacts and try to think about whether we want to take the fight to them immediately or... Well, you tell us how the vampires react and maybe we'll face it together. And the alliance won't be just a farce. Who knows?
All the same, probably better for the most part if we, at least for today, don't head out again. At least not into the city.
I am certainly concerned as to the development of the day's events, but an appearance of the Dominion's agents is not so unusual. As I said before, for us, at least, it is not unusual.
Yeah.
Given the path we're on, it will be far less and less unusual, I believe. I advise for the moment we do not lose sight of the matter of Boltzmann either.
Yeah.
In the end, whatever he has found may be key to understanding what this is truly about.
I don't know how we really pursue that right now, though. I mean, well, I guess we could ask to go to the library. But I'm sure they would, watch us if we started looking up books and looking through things. So I don't know. It's a necessarily good idea.
If you persuade
Also-
them, I'm sure they would be happy to let you peruse under watch. But I'm sure you find your ways to slink out from underneath their eyes. Sounds like it was not much of a problem for you today.
Noted. You were saying, Evelyn?
There is some general understanding anyways that we're looking to meet with some of the lichens, so even if you were
Right.
looking into that thread of subject in the library or anyone was, then it wouldn't necessarily be out of the nature of what we've said we're here to do anyways.
I do also understand that sometimes you do things on your own. Should you, in my absence, or before we formulate any sort of plan around it, confront, as you said, the Dominion directly, make sure you leave at least a notice of such plans behind. Considering the worst case that could happen,
But yeah. of
there may
course.
not be a way to return from such an endeavor.
Oh yeah, didn't we want to give Vidar something?
Right. The sending stone.
Yeah.
Rhett, did you have that?
Oh, do I sorry, sure.
Listen,
I
you've got a
have
bag
it.
of holding. I assume
I
you have
don't-
most everything.
As you
Yeah,
mention the
oh,
sending
yeah,
stone,
there-
there's this like barely noticeable twitch in Vidar's eye.
Mm-hmm.
And as you hand over the sending stone, there's certainly some hesitation.
Is
Simply for the
something
ease
wrong?
of communication.
No, of course none. It has been a while since I've used one of these.
Oof. Another diss.
Seriously. I'm just easy to save spell slots, bro.
Of course.
It's mostly so that we can contact you. You can contact us however you like, but yeah.
Of course.
Also selectively contacting Vidar only when necessary.
You can hold it. I don't need to hold it. What? Why is everyone just assuming I hold everything?
I can
You
hold
have
the
the bag of
sending
holding.
stone.
It's easier just to have it in the bag of holding, maybe. But I guess technically that doesn't work, and if he needs to send us a message,
I can keep
Evelyn
the
will
sending
take the other
stone.
one.
You see him slip the stone into one of his pockets.
Did Silas want a sending stone?
He looks like he wants to.
Yeah, sure. I think
Oh,
Silas
gosh.
should absolutely
let
have it.
me make a roll real quick.
Oh no.
Natural one.
Yes!
You can see the mischief in his eyes.
Hell yes!
No.
You can see it as he holds out his paw.
How obvious is this?
The natural one, obvious.
Evelyn's gonna try and take it before Silas can.
Rhett's hand is slightly more towards Silas.
I know,
He's
I
just
know.
holding it open. There's nothing in the moment for me.
Silas is obviously more is faster than Evelyn, but Evelyn is attempting to move very quickly to take it.
Let me roll. What I've got to do.
So,
He's
when it
torn
feels
between yes, my
really
lady.
wants it.
No.
He lets you grab it.
Oh goodness. Evelyn will go ahead and take him. Put it in
You
her
can see
pocket.
that midway he sees you move and he just stops, and you can see like the fight within.
Right. Well then. I'm going to spend a bit of time with this, seeing if I can't glean anything additional. Perhaps, if you're all right with it, Brett, I might go back into the mansion to do so. So it's
Yeah. I suppose if it is something more explosive, that might be safer.
evocations generally along the lines of creating something that can be more destructive in a larger space.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So-
probably not for spine, is the point I was making.
Right.
Yeah.
Well then. Evelyn's gonna cautiously pick it up again. Looking probably a little bit too intrigued, but she's gonna move into the mansion carrying it.
Okay.
That's gonna go into his bag, pull out 2 scrolls of sending, and hand them to Silas.
Uh-huh.
Just in case, you look like you might need a message to send things to, you know.
I will gladly note this down. 2 scrolls of sending?
Yeah. Speaking of scrolls, Corinne, is there anything that if we are going to at some point end up confronting the Dominion again, is there something more offensive maybe that you might be able to copy into a scroll for us?
Well, I specialize in conjuration. There are a couple of spells that are used offensively. Is there anything specific you had in mind?
We use conjuring. I mean, we like dragons. We like elementals.
Well,
I'm not an expert
can
in conjuration, so I don't know.
prepare either, but if you were looking for one of the higher spells, celestial, perhaps?
Okay. That
You don't
thinks
seem
about all the
convinced.
vampires around. That might be good. Celestial. Could work in several situations.
Is this something that you wanted to do with the material you brought?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
I can work on something like that.
Cool. I don't really know what to do now that Evelyn's just studying again.
Well, why don't we take a 5 to 10 minute break while you can think about what you want to do?
I mean, I agree it's important to study, but like, what do the rest of us do?
Fair. But let's do take a 5 to 10 minute break.
All right.
Alrighty.
And
Sounds good.
I will be back in a little bit. Okay. And because it came up, Evelyn, got some bloods for you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Wait, are you okay?
Don't worry about it.
Where did you get this?
Don't worry about it. Don't
Hmm.
worry about it.
What do you mean? Which one do you mean? Do you mean the one
Don't worry about it.
You mean the lichen, the humanoid, the silver blood, the Huxley blood?
I think he's concerned about the other one.
Yeah, the other one.
The only one that you didn't mention.
Did I get
What do
asked
you
for
mean?
that?
What do you mean? I maybe do healing by stabbing you sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And there may have been side effects of that benefit Evelyn.
Huh? I like to cast Gate to pop Evelyn out of my mansion. No.
I was asked whose blood I have, and I just, relayed that information.
I don't.
I just would like to see Evelyn's face when all of a sudden she's the only one who gets expelled from the mansion.
Fair
Probably the
enough.
same sort of face she made when she dropped the journalist.
Absolutely no feeling whatsoever.
Maybe.
It is time to end this relationship.
Oh boy.
Let's be real, the final boss is no one from the Dominion. The final boss is gonna be Evelyn.
That would
I'm
be
not saying
interesting.
Wouldn't be possible.
So we do some attuning. I'm gonna cast a Raise Dead into the ring. That we got.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna unattune, reattune to my other items.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give that ring to Silas. Because I know how to raise dead, Huxley knows how to raise dead, and now Silas knows how to raise dead.
Which kind of ring?
It is a ring of spell storing,
Uh-huh.
so it takes an hour to attune to. But basically, in the event that someone of us dies, and you're the only one left alive, you could potentially raise us back to life.
Oh.
Is what I explained. Like, you don't need to attune to this right now or anything.
Right.
Just when I need it. I see.
Just like, if I'm laying there dead, you know.
Yeah.
Because Raised Dead is as long as they've...
10
10
days.
days? Is it 10 days?
Yeah.
Okay. You spend some time resting and tuning to items, handing them out to whoever needs them. And then you are free to do whatever it is you want to do.
You guys want to go up to, like, the library? I'm not saying, like, venture out, you know, outside the castle or anything.
Libraries are so boring.
Unless they have doors in them.
Can I bring Helay?
That's a really terrible idea.
Oh. I can bring Mr. Bottle.
Yes, you can bring Mr. Bottle.
Mr. Bottle, do you like libraries?
That's the place with all the bottles and potions in them, right?
No. It has lots of books.
Yeah, no. Turns out I fucking hate libraries.
Me too.
Figures.
We have so much in common.
Oh, speaking of which, Mr. Bottle, could I have a potion of greater invisibility?
I don't know. Sure.
Thanks. Oh, there it is.
Go ahead and roll me a 1d100. And see if you get under the threshold.
What is it for a greater invisibility potion? 27's pretty
is
good.
50. Mr. Bottle fills with a liquid.
Can I pour it into another vial? I think that's how this works, right?
You can either pour the liquid out or drink it.
Yeah, I'll pour it into another vial.
Okay.
Or flask, I suppose it says flask. Whatever.
Yeah, right. This bottle not good enough for you to drink out of, huh?
I just don't need it right now.
Uh-huh.
Notes down, Mr. Bottle likes being sucked.
Who has Mr. Bottle? It's Huxley, right?
Normally Hux, yeah.
Yeah. You guys want any potions today or anything?
I think a potion of speed is always pretty handy to have.
But you have to drink it immediately,
Oh yeah. I guess then
or at
not for
least
now.
if you want to do any other potions.
It's just one out at a time, is that how it works?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you pour it out, it disappears.
Oh, potion that's poured into another vessel
Wait,
for later
what?
use immediately loses its magic and turns to water.
Oh.
Oh,
Hold
Prob-
on
we
a
would have
second.
I would've known this.
that.
You probably
Okay,
wouldn't
I-
have worked it out then.
would not have, yeah.
Oopsies.
And keep it in there.
Okay, so Mr. Bottle's just currently got
It's in
his
the
invisibly
fine
push
print.
ready.
I'm doing potion of mind reading.
Do you really want to do that?
Yeah, then I can see what everyone is thinking.
I don't know if we want that.
Yeah, it's funny. Fuck with everyone. It'll be funny.
I can, like, they think something and I can, like...
You can say everything that they say while they say it. People hate that.
Or they think, like, oh, I want a glass of water, and I bring them a glass of water.
Or better, you bring them a glass of milk.
Or...
Because it's not what they want.
I'm gonna start going to the library. You guys
Yeah.
discuss this philosophy.
When have you two become so buddy, Mr. Bottle? Hugs?
I think Hugs is talking to Mr. Bottle the whole, like, all the time.
We're just there sharing thoughts, you know? You never shared a thought. You ever have a thought?
Well, I have lots of thoughts,
And
but I
what-
also have filters.
I talk to all my friends, but most of them don't talk back.
Ah, you don't need a filter. Everything out of here comes out clean.
Sure.
Except the potion of poison, which is, deadly.
Clean poison.
I don't know. Are we all leaving for this library? Is that okay?
I think Evelyn's staying and still studying.
Yeah. I'm gonna poke my head in and be like, hey, we're just gonna go to the library in this building.
Yeah, she would kind of wave at you while currently drawing like some ritual circles on the ground.
Not concerning at all.
Not concerned. I know I was gonna cast Gate and summon her to me. So it's just... We're good.
Okay, headed to the library. How you do that?
We walk out the door and walk toward the stairs to the library. Like we own the place.
Okay.
Which I think you said was up here. If I remember.
You step out the door and immediately the guards start following you in lockstep. As you pass by the barracks to the side. Oh, did I accidentally ignore them? These are not real. As you pass by where many of the other guards train and rest, another of the guards follows you. And you just continue heading forward?
Yeah, unless they stop us.
You are headed to The library.
Yeah, that's all right. Figured we could read up on things we might not have in Polythreme.
There are some books that you are not allowed to read, but you are free to peruse the rest.
Who would we have to ask to get the allowance to read those books?
Well, whoever has the authority to allow you to read those books. They're a matter of safety and security, so either the captain of the guard or someone higher up.
Good to know.
You head up to the library. Which you arrive at after a quick trip up a long staircase. There is a long hallway with no other doors leading directly into a large open space. Before you, to the sides, stretch staircases leading out to the sides of bookcases which stretch even further above, all the way towards the ceiling. Before you, you see a large wall sectioning the library into parts.
Is it obvious where we should go? Or... It looks like we should go through one of these doors, so I guess I'll head toward one of the doors and look for a sign or anything that says.
Okay. As you head towards one of these doors, the guards do not move to stop you. The area immediately beyond the doors is a fairly large open space with quite a few rows of books. Most notably, however, there are several desks around, all of which in a state of having several things being written out or several documents just sort of splayed out across them. And a central mural that is embedded into the ground. You see what appears to be a massive snow-covered mountain with several buildings and structures hewn into its side or built upon the cliff sides, not entirely unlike the city you find yourself currently in. Though the mountain does not bear much resemblance to the ashen gray monstrosity that you've seen outside.
I'm just gonna well observe this, but then keep walking kind of around the library, just to get a feeling. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you are looking for?
This priest here is does it have any religious symbols or something that remind us of a certain god or whatnot? Oops.
The image at the very bottom of this mural is indeed this sort of lone priest standing out of what appears to be a starry sky. Several celestial bodies are displayed within. Two large circular objects, which are either planets, moons, or representative of a sun. But in terms of religious symbols, you see very little. The priest holds a staff with a circular cross at the very end of it. None of which you've seen before.
I'm gonna do. Yep, I said.
Towards the top of the mural, you see something that is odd. At the very peak of this mountain, sort of set into the clouds, is the depiction of what appears to be a sort of lofty sky temple, ringed by Pegasus, which, as celestials, don't particularly seem familiar in the realm of vampires, at least as far as you know. This oddity continues as you continue further down the library, where you are met with several large statues, all bearing wings that you would expect to see on celestials, not vampires. Feathered and hewn from marble. Anything upon the podium is not for outsiders to read.
Gotcha.
Understood.
The statues in here are impressive. Are they of anyone in particular? Asking the guard.
They were here before I was stationed here. They are of fine craftsmanship, but they do not bear any planks. I do not know if they are of anyone in particular.
I see. Having done that, I'm gonna back off. But I mean, I'll check. But I assume these are just more bookcase. Yeah. Okay.
Any suspicious archways or doors?
This library, aside from the doors through which you've entered, seems fairly devoid of doors and archways.
But there are two doors.
Mm-hmm.
Are they?
Yeah. You walk up to the door to find it locked. Again, you try the handle of a door, again finding it locked.
Good.
Is there anything to be concerned with?
No, just, doing my job as a bodyguard, making sure everything's closed off and just a habit. I'm sorry. Just in general, are the books in here written in common or?
There is a large section of books written in common. You see quite a few books written in several different languages, but most of them, at least, appear to be titled in common.
Although before I go back here, I would check these, I guess. Just take a look at what these are.
Just the books, or?
I mean, just everything that lies on that
Okay.
shelf.
You see, a collection of candles, some flowers on this little end table, and a number of small books. There is a small lockbox as well.
Readable books in different languages or in common?
You can take a look inside, yeah. You start looking through these books. Both of them appear to be fairly old, fairly tattered journals. Most of the entries you read are about several locations across the continent of Calessens. But there's nothing really interesting that you glean from these pages. It almost appears more to be a sort of travelogue.
I'm gonna start walking around and browsing for things generally on lichens.
Okay.
But now that I've seen this whole depiction, if there's anything on this city, like a brief history of the,
Go ahead
City
and
of-
roll me an investigation.
yeah, for sure.
You may roll with advantage.
A natural 20 for, I don't know, 20 something.
There is an entire section of books as you wander in here. Several rows of old leather-bound tomes in bookcases labeled the history of Calessens.
Well, I'll pick those up.
As soon as you pull out the first book, you notice an oddity. The book feels lighter than it should. The heavy leather-bound spine gives way to a gap. A section of the book appears to be visibly missing.
Oh. Oh, this one's damaged.
Do you flip it open? Do you examine the
Yeah,
page?
yeah, sure.
When you flip open the tome, it naturally lands in that gap between the pages and the back cover. These pages weren't ripped from the book, but rather it appears that they were very neatly separated, cut from the spine. And on the back cover, you see a symbol branded into the inner side of the leather cover. A symbol of two opposing blades, their hand guts forming large sickle.
New weapons for Hux.
Oh my gosh.
You check the other books.
Yeah. I am actually checking for the lichen books. Just in
As
case we come
you
across
go
some
down the
interpretable
rows
stuff.
of various history books, quite a few of them appear to have this same sort of symbol marked into their spines. And all of them have large sections of their books missing. There don't appear to be any books that are specifically on lycanthropy, but as you start sort of skimming through the pages of a few of them, it appears that, at least in terms of the history books, the two appear somewhat intertwined.
Yeah.
Do you study these books closely?
Yes, I think so. If this symbol is very common, which it sounds like it is, I'm just going to pick a history book that I don't care about. I mean, it can be at random, and be like, this one's damaged to you. Do you know anything about that? Is there a librarian?
The books are not damaged.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, okay. They're not complete.
That is correct.
Is there a librarian? Is there a why to that? I mean, it's a bit jarring to be like looking at, I don't know what I'm looking at, a history of bakeries in Clessence, and
You do not need to concern yourself with the missing sections.
okay. Sure.
You can go ahead and roll me another investigation roll.
Sure. Just a regular one. $15?
You take some time to read or skim through some of the still existing pages. Most of these are a historical account of various places in Clessence. And where these historical accounts end in cut pages, the years date back to just before an unknown great calamity, which appears to be the reason to the birth of vampirism and lycanthropy, which in following entries seem to sweep across the continent at the heel of several great wars. This calamity is only vaguely hinted at in pages continuing after a similarly unspecified number of years. The calendar by which these years appear measured seem to deviate from the one used in Kauron. It would likely take you some time to translate the exact dates mentioned in these books.
Sure.
In that time, as you take some time to do some math, what do the other two do? Anything specific?
I'm not a bookworm per se, so I'll just walk around and where I'm allowed to roam around and just check the other side now. God, that looks like there's some kind of broken vases or whatnot, or statues.
There appears to be a broken figurine, similar in make to the statues. White marble, and similarly depicting what you would describe as a celestial figure.
Also no text, no plaque, I guess.
Mhm.
Let's will comment that he knows they're vampires, but it's still weird to put up dead flowers. They don't even have blood. And then he will just wander around.
Oh, I just found
Look at
some drawings on the table, so I guess I will check out the drawings. Or
Okay.
map or whatever.
You see a
Airships.
schematic for one you can only describe as an airship. It's a fairly lightweight construction using balloons, a large sort of floating body, and a small wooden undercarriage. Stuff that you've seen at the Sky Island, stuff you've probably seen in the past, especially in and around Antarctic. These lightweight airships technically would still work, but with the loss of the larger, magically functioning airships, most air travel has ceased, on the continent at least.
Silas, while I'm doing this, you might take some sketches. I've never seen artwork like this.
Like what?
I mean, the whole scene.
Yeah, I can make a
that I saw you
sketch
take an interest in.
to show Evelyn later on, because it is beautiful.
Red. Your calculations are by no means perfect. There could be a number of variables and deviations to this old system of timekeeping, but you establish with a satisfactory degree of certainty that the historical accounts end sometime around 650 years ago, before resuming 10 to 13 years later. A time span in which the calamity mentioned before must have occurred. And you may go ahead and roll me a history check. But this one's a pretty tough one.
Okay.
I believe.
Oh!
While you're
no.
studying. Ah.
It's an 8.
It's studying the wrong thing, Red.
The time span in which the calamity occurred does not really ring any bells to you. At least as far as legends or anything of the sort go, there's nothing that you are familiar with.
Okay. I'm not gonna spend like beyond a few. Am I allowed to check these books out of the library?
If
Right.
they do not leave the premises, that should be all right.
Okay, so as long as they stay in our room down there. Okay.
As you
So-
go through these books, you do note that all of the books with the sword symbol stamped onto their backs do appear to have cut pages. Those books that do not have any pages missing also do not bear that symbol.
Yep. Can I take the books that I've been looking at?
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to head back toward our room. I'm guessing it's been like a couple hours, maybe.
In the meantime, I would have asked a couple questions while sketching this whole thing. I would like ask the guards like the whole time, like, do you guys have Pegasi around here? What do these two serpents mean down there? And who's the guy who holds the staff? Like, asking all these questions the whole time about the whole picture on the floor.
Some of these are centuries old. I'm sure the depictions have some sort of meaning. No, we do not have any Pegasi, but there is a squad of wyvern riders.
That's not the
Around the
same.
Ashen Mountain, most you will find is wyvern. They're quite fierce and violent. It takes quite a lot to tame one of them.
I mean, now that I think about it, like a wyvern is basically like a snake and a pegasus basically put together. Also, aren't you guys also a couple of centuries old? Isn't that like just something that happened during your lifetime?
Not that old. few centuries, yes. But perhaps not as old as you think some of us are.
Well, thanks for letting me... Oh, I think my friend is done. As Red seems to be heading out.
Yeah, I don't want to bore you guys too long.
Hux, are you ready too?
Yeah.
Guess we're ready
There
to
a
leave.
potion room.
Not here, no. Are
Well,
you
there he
asking
is.
in general in the castle?
Yeah.
There are some potions put aside for the guards and the barracks, but none that be accessible to guests, even if you are honored as such. You'd probably have to ask for them.
Oh, that's fine. But Mr. Bottle thinks it would be really cool if you had a room full of potions.
I suppose in the city somewhere there would be sellers of potions, traders, shops. I'm sure you could find a room with potions there.
Oh, maybe we can find him a cute little Mrs. Potion.
Why would we need another? Why?
Just to, like, lift up his general mood, I guess.
Why
I don't
would
think
that
I'm
be?
the one that needs lifting. Why don't we find you like a stray cat on the side of the street?
Hmm.
See?
Why would we do that?
It's not important. You'll read about it in the book sometime.
We already have Suxley.
Well, maybe Saxley can find you a cat
What?
and then not eat it because it is like a bug.
I'm so confused.
I think
I
I'm just
feel
gonna follow
elsewhere.
Red and be like, yeah, no, I'm not just gonna get myself involved in this.
The room.
Okay, you return to the room. Evelyn,
Mhm.
in your further study of the
Yeah.
artifact, is there anything in particular that you are doing?
She would have attempted to. This is more from my point of view. I don't think it'll actually do anything, but one of the things she would have attempted to do would be to, at the same time as ritually cast, like set up a full ritual circle, which she doesn't normally need for identify. Ritually cast identify, and while you can't technically upcast identify, use like the energy of like a 4th level spell slot to cast identify.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To see if she can glean any more information about the artifact.
Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check.
Mhm. 22.
it's difficult to decipher the spell that is written into this thing. Almost as if it's written in a different kind of spell language. But there are a few extra pieces of information that you gather, particularly as you upcast Identify, as there is a larger amount of magical energy sort of present and flowing through the artifact. There is a slight response from the spike that came into contact with Huxley's blood. It would appear that aside from needing a large amount of magical energy for its activation, this activation is likely triggered by a release of blood. At least that would explain the general shape of that artifact.
Mm.
In addition to knowing that the magic involved is largely of the school of evocation, you do get a sense of radiant energy from this spell. As the form of energy it would likely release upon activation.
Okay. How long would the group have been gone for with the library?
Probably an hour or two.
Then the other thing she might attempt to do is to do the same thing again, but let me double check something. But also casting comprehend languages in advance. Again, this is more just how she's trying. Whether or not it assists her or at anything is perfectly fine. But she probably would have tried to do the same thing again, but casting Prestidigitate to remove the blood from Hux. And after making sure that nobody else is there, going ahead and like using some of her own blood. Not tons, just a bit, trying to like also get some sort of reaction so that she can understand it better.
Okay. Do you poke yourself to draw blood, or do you sort of, paint it on there?
Because of how it's shaped and how it seems like there's an intent of the spikes being used to draw blood, she would probably try and grasp it hard to draw blood from her hand. That same way. And then kind of do the whole song and dance again of the Identify plus another 4th level spell slot for the Identify. So the Ritual Identify plus a 4th level casting of Identify into the spell slot with the comprehend languages.
In terms of its sort of activation threshold, you feel a similar sense as to when Huxley's blood was on there. A little bit stronger as there is more blood present, and it appears to function slightly easier with fresh blood rather than old stains. You'd imagine with how much of a rise you get from this thing that to fully trigger it would likely be quite a test of willpower. The way you'd likely have to activate this thing is by grasping it with both hands and fully pressing this thing into your hands to draw enough blood. As you cast Comprehend Languages before further examining, there is a single phrase that you manage to glean from this spell. As its title does not appear to be written in that same strange, different spell language, but rather just a language that you yourself do not know. But you know now that the spell is called False Sun.
Got it. Thank you very much. Then she'd work on patching up and healing her.
Go ahead and roll me a survival check as well.
Survival. That's an amazing roll. Yeah, it's gonna be a +1. Let's see. 5.
Okay. There is something that seems odd to you, at least intuitively. You find it difficult to determine whether or not this spell would release anything from it or just cause something to happen. There's no way of sort of, it's not a weapon which you can sort of aim. It doesn't have any sort of aiming mechanism to it other than it being this spiky ball that you clasp onto.
Okay. I have another thought, but I don't of one other thing to try or to check on, but I don't know time-wise where I'm at with where they would be.
I think
At the
both of
library.
these endeavors would likely take about an hour each. So
Okay.
at this point in time, the others would likely file back in.
We're back.
How is the library?
Not what I expected. It seemed, I don't know, older.
Oh,
Silas has a picture of, I mean, like there was a scene and statues.
A scene in statues.
I assume Silas like has the picture to show.
Yeah, it looked like this.
Certainly not what I would have anticipated.
And then I'm gonna like pull out the older history books too. It seems like they're covering up something related to that, but I guess they left it on the floor. I don't.
I mean, we could
Oh,
ask our
also-
vampire friend if he knows something about this.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't see him. When he gets back, he's not here right now, right?
He is currently outside the mansion, but he is at the
In the room.
Oh, he is in the room.
You think that there were sections that have been redacted or restricted?
Yeah, the symbol, I mean, the guard said as much. Bernard, do you know what the symbol is? Sorry, I am outside the mansion. I wasn't going to take the books into our mansion and like set off some alarm.
Okay, never mind then. I would have
But
come
I
out
would have
after.
come in to get you.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
that's
hey, we're
fine.
back. Now we had things to talk about.
There was an age of control and censure before I was born. I believe it was done by a group of people known as the Old Mothers.
Is there any chance that the celestial plane gate was here? Like pointing at the temple on Silas's drawing.
You mean to Karasol? Or a different plane?
I
Yeah,
would
maybe.
not have heard of anything of that sort. The large planar gateways, certainly, I do not believe had any place on Calescent.
Hmm.
There is a passage to the Shadowfell and the Feywild on the continent of Vaduligo, and of course there are the large planar gateways on Cauaron, but I had not ever heard of a gateway or such on Calescent, no.
Interesting. I'm just, trying to put things together. Like, why would the Dominion be interested in this place? Beyond just a general wanting the Blight to take over everything.
Well, I think it is. And he takes a quick glance and Evelyn. Somewhat to our understanding, then the blood curses are somehow connected to the blight or have some sort of insight into them. What exactly their relationship is, I do not know. It could be that they are simply trying to prevent our discovery of such a relationship. Or there is more to it. But if we delve deeper into this matter in particular, if it truly is a matter that is kept by the old mothers, that would certainly mean that we may end up ruffling some feathers with the vampires after all. They are respected still. Long not in power anymore, but they still hold a great measure of unspoken power. While they are not actively part of vampire society as a whole anymore, they are, in essence, many of our progenitors. The oldest vampires that exist, some thousands of years old, are certainly among the old mothers.
Hold on.
Name checks out
The,
then.
the, the timeline that I put together said it's 650 years ago. Did I misunderstand something? Or is Vidar being inaccurate?
That is what was written in the book.
And
That at
that's
least
when vampirism...
650 or so years ago, there was a calamity which caused the blood curses to sweep over Calescens.
Oh, they already existed prior to that, but it became far more common. Is that
As far as
right?
you
Or-
read in the books, there is not actually any mention of the blood curses before the calamity.
So what Vidar just said doesn't match up with what I'm understanding.
Not exactly.
Interesting. I'm not going to immediately point that out. There was a restricted section that had some interesting things that might be worth looking at. But I doubt that we're going to get permission.
I would suspect something of a similar nature. I am also not sure if you would find anything that was censored from these books in that section.
Yeah.
If it fell under the censure of the old mothers so many years ago, it is doubtful they would have kept it here. But if they have a section that is locked away, it could certainly hold other information
Right.
that could be valuable to us now.
So that may be worth looking into, at least for one of us, while the others do a little distraction
Certainly,
or something.
but carefully.
What do you think,
I
Evelyn?
suppose if this is the line of information that you are looking at right now, I should share what I know of the old mothers. As you are aware, of course, there are a number of houses amongst the vampires. Some of these houses are labeled as fallen. It is not exactly public knowledge what exactly constitutes a house as fallen, but it was a status declared by the old mothers in those days that they were in control. It is these houses that were interned into the very crypts, like the one that you discovered, that you ventured into. And without fail, any of these houses labeled as fallen fall inevitably into ruin. While I am not fully aware of the details, I believe that not all the descendants of these houses were necessarily willing in this procedure of internment. The old mothers are a remnant, much like an old royal family. Long ago, they were very much in control, overseeing and puppeteering any of the wars that sprung up at the time. It's not an overstatement to say that at the time they wielded a supreme level of authority. But this brutal sort of rule is what, in the end, was their downfall. Much of vampire society, especially once the societies of vampires and lycanthropes grew closer together and eventually found peace, there was a lot of resentment and distrust targeted at the old mothers. This disdain has only escalated over the centuries. The old mothers still exist now. They are still respected for their power, but they are no longer part of society at large. As far as I know, they've retreated to a secret fortress against all trespass. In my lifespan, I have not seen a single one of them.
Interesting. Are they someone that Polythreme might be interested in? I think he was done
I
with
would
vampires, though.
fear for his life or his soul if that were the case. I'm not saying that it isn't the case, but if it is, he would move extremely carefully, I would hope.
Yeah. I don't know how much we can do with that information right now, though. Evelyn, are you interested perhaps in attempting to get access to the more restricted things we did see?
We perhaps might be able to offer a trade of information to get access if needed.
Sure.
The
The library was
been-
fairly empty, so I don't think it would be that hard if we just wanted to do it via subterfuge.
Right.
At least on a very quick basis.
I've been looking into the artifact a bit more. But what are your thoughts on a phrase, false sun? Does that mean anything to you?
Without any context,
Within context of potentially the name of the artifact and how it can release a large amount of potentially radiant sort of energy.
the only thing I can think of is, but this is quite the reach. If we connect the artifact to the Dominion and the Dominion to the Blight, there is a Blight creature, a Blight thing called a false moon. But the correlation there is only a single word, not to mention that it is a name that was given to these creatures by us. But there is no other connection that I could possibly think of.
My best assumption of the artifact and how it potentially could be used is if activated, potentially could not even release from itself, but create into do a bit more glancing into it, but it's possible it could trigger some sort of false sun. That if at best my assumption, best case scenario, if the Blight were able to create a false sun here, there could be a potential large amount of vampires potentially damaged in the process.
If the spell creates something as to what we could assume a false sun would be, a potentially smaller version of the sun, but containing the same harmful energies, then certainly it would be devastating in its effects.
And the blight to spread requires a significant amount of death to occur.
It does.
Makes sense to me.
There is a reason why this is the land of vampires and lycanthropes. The sky above Calescence is constantly shadowed, covered in the smoke and ash from the Ashen Mountain. We have flourished here because of the absence of the sun.
I
It would
would.
certainly be a powerful weapon against any vampire.
It is curious then why any vampire would align themselves with the Dominion as the individual that you pursued, kind of glancing over it to Silas.
I am
Yes.
surprisingly not as surprised. Not going off of why they do it, I've seen the fanatics of the fire throwers of Polythreme immolate themselves in their own flames. Fanatics are always ready to end themselves for their goal at large.
Well, Silas said something about wanting to be no longer suffering. I mean, are there some vampires that consider it suffering to be a vampire?
There is suffering throughout all societies.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Being a vampire does not make much of a difference in that regard. Imagine spending many more years in a much stronger body, but in absolute poverty.
add a couple of false promises and away you go.
My concern is also the timing of it all. 3 days they're supposed to have, well, less than 3 days now, a ball with some of the higher end of the political society. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And
There will be
if the Dominion,
representatives of many of the prominent houses.
if they were hoping to perhaps
I'm sure this
wait.
apparatus was meant to turn the ball into a massacre of sorts.
I haven't found the Dominion to be one to simply let their plans slide to the side. So it's possible they could still have intents of retrieving the artifact or of...
Try again.
Right. We could obviously inform.
I will keep the connection to the Dominion vague for the moment. I do not think they need to be informed of your sighting of the Star-Blessed Witch. But I will inform them of the situation at large.
You don't think it's worth trying to see if we can turn their plan into an ambush? I mean, if this Starblessed Witch is coming to try again, we could use their help in trying to,
I think
take
there
her
are
instead.
too many unknown vectors in this.
Okay.
If there is a faction of dissidents amongst the vampires, we're not exactly sure who is on our side and who is not.
True.
And as much as we could certainly turn an attack into an ambush, there is no guarantee that on some level they do not succeed, especially if they bring such unpredictable weapons to bear. We could still end up losing.
Yeah.
There's always the potential that they could find another method of attacking as well, not just with this. They may have had an alternate plan if this one fell through.
Oh, I've planted multiple of these somewhere around the city.
It would require a extreme testament of will or strength to activate the device, but with how you've explained the individual that you came across, that is easier to foresee. And then there's a large amount of magic that would have to be pushed through it, but that's not without outside of the realms of what we've seen the Dominion do.
The device also has a powerful signature of magic of its own. For now, the simplest thing I can do is inform the guards of the exact make, as far as we have deduced, of this artifact. As a powerful magical device, it should be easy to detect if there are more around the city.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to give up yours, I am not sure about.
It's difficult to say if it would be safe in their hands. If they already
It
have
could also
some of their
be-
own.
I
That,
believe with the information they have enough to find any others of this kind.
Yeah, it could also be really useful to us in trying to track any of the Dominion in the future. Maybe. Like Huxley said, plane shift or attack. It just, like, not saying we have to by any stretch, but it's an option. It gives us an option.
There is also a thing then I balk at considering, but I have to. If we do end up against the old mothers,
Ah. Interesting.
Well then, for the time being, we need to find someplace safe and secure. I'll see if I can't work up something with one of the lead boxes that we have to try and keep it from notice as much as possible.
I mean, we could, like, hide it away, right?
Ideally, yes. My only concern being how hidden that is. But that's why layers of protection are ideal.
Hmm. I could probably help with that then.
Evan,
Right.
you startle for a moment as you find that Retribution's sitting behind you. It seems like you've thought a little bit too hard of him.
Not right now. Go away. Not yet. Soon.
Wow.
Soon what?
Right.
Yeah.
I'll work on just a couple of safeguards and then we'll hide it away. But as far as information on potentially restricted, we could always attempt to see if we could gain access to it on our own. But I'm concerned with that leaving us in a precarious position with the way things may turn if things don't go correctly.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Well, this has been a wonderfully enlightening experience all around. I suppose I'll work on getting a box with a block ready.
Well, out of curiosity, Evelyn, to Vidar's point, do you think that you know how to activate this thing?
Yes. I believe we could.
Okay. But that's not so easy that we could. It is too dangerous to carry around.
No.
Okay.
The amount of magic in of itself that would be required to set it off would probably be towards the upper limits of what we've pulled off in the past.
Gotcha. Well, we should probably hide it then.
Right.
Like,
And for transparency's sake, I don't believe... I think it's highly unlikely that it would come from the item itself more that this would be a trigger of an event.
sure. That makes sense.
Right.
Rhett says unconvincingly that it makes sense.
I'll work on getting this wrapped up. Evelyn will head back towards the mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same.
You see Vidar sort of pondering for a moment before he heads straight out the door.
Yeah.
Classic.
Is Rhett the only one in the room in the mansion initially?
Seems like it. I don't know.
Depends on Huxley and Silas.
I guess I would just follow because I have nothing better to do.
Yeah, safe.
Yeah. So Evelyn's gonna make her way back over to her little workstation and start with kind of pulling out a lead box, trying to she's gonna try and work on getting. I think she's got a lead box currently, but
I think
trying
we could
to
just cast sequester on it, so it's not detectable and it's invisible. Might be a good idea.
Are you able to cast sequester?
I mean, once a day.
Right. I wasn't aware it was something that you already knew. Or are you talking about the other
I
thing?
mean, I could wish to cast sequester.
Right.
Like, we've done this before. I think I'm getting good at it now. I'm just saying. We're not doing anything else today, as far as I'm aware.
That would probably be good to cover it with as well. Again, layers of protection are good.
Right.
Eblin's going to look to Rhett. And once he's made eye contact, gonna have a conversation telepathically.
Okay.
I don't think we should hide it somewhere where the others know. Not that I don't trust them, but the less people that know where this is, the better in this exact moment.
Sure, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
I think the nature of vampires in general, there's a little bit too much charm there that they can use that could reveal information that we're not prepared to. So layers upon layers of protection until we're ready.
I gotcha. Okay.
I think she just called you weak of mind.
Elvin's initially going to start working on the lead, making sure she's got a lead box, but she's making sure that it is, and if she needs to, kind of deconstruct or reconstruct in a configuration that would fit the size of this object.
You could probably fit the object fairly easily in the available lead box.
Okay.
The only
But she's
real
still doing it
changes
for the
you'd
sake of
likely have to make
appearances.
is to the inside of it.
Hmm?
The only change you'd really have to make is towards like inside of it in terms of
Okay. Yeah, so she's going to be
Basically.
messing with it
Mhm.
at the moment. That's what, for all sakes and appearances, she's currently as working on the inside of the lead box then to make it fit appropriately.
Mhm.
And Rhett, if you wanted to work on sequester,
Yep.
anything I can do to assist you with that?
I don't think so. Let me see. I think I wish to cast the quest on Badoosh. It just happens.
You cast Wish. You feel the sort of pulse of a 9th level spell. And you cast Sequester with them.
And then there's suddenly nothing on the desk because it's invisible. Oh, okay. I can feel it still. It's okay.
Can I still see
Ow!
it with true sight?
Crap! It's still sharp.
Yeah, True Sight would certainly pierce even Sequester.
Okay. Right. Cautious. Don't. Blood is one of those trigger things, and she's kind of
Right.
subtly, without was seeing like kind of prestidigitate to clean off the blood again, from the object.
Okay. So the target condition that I set is when someone utters the phrase, "I wish I had a sun bomb."
Do you utter that phrase right now?
No.
Okay. I'm just checking because
I'm thinking this to her,
Got it.
assuming that we can still do that. I thought we were
Right.
doing this whole thing mostly
Yes.
telepathically.
I assume so.
Yes.
That's what I thought. It's understanding.
Listen, I'm just checking.
Jeez.
It'd be fucking funny.
It would be a total waste. Alrighty. With that being said, so we're gonna put it in here and hand it to Retribution.
Yes. That is the idea. So she's going to work on finishing up the lead box. I just need to finish the dimensions. It's a little bit pokey, obviously.
Yeah. How quickly think you can do that?
Only probably realistically like 30 minutes tops to make sure like if she's doing like actual crafting versus like magic.
Okay.
Is her thought?
Hmm. Okay. As you prepare the box, handing it off to Retribution, I imagine. Is there anything else you do for the rest of the day? It's likely
If-
getting towards the evening hours at this point.
I'm trying to think this would be useful.
Is Evelyn free at some point in the evening, or is she doing something the whole night?
Yeah, she would be able to finish it off.
Because at some
I
point,
did shoot you a quick message, Beggar, when you have a second.
because at some point Silas would approach her and would be like, well, we've been spending more and more time in these upper circles, you know, and it seems like back home I'm expected to somehow also maybe, if I'm being accepted, like marry into these upper circles, so maybe you could give me a couple like lessons in
Lessons.
how to, you know, behave correctly.
Right. That's definitely something we could work on. Probably start small, and work your way up. You probably have noticed certain things, and then all societies have slight differences. So, I'm most familiar with society, the hierarchy and expectations that go to Polythreme, but I imagine you lean more heavily towards Antigarch. So also keep in mind there's a slight difference there, but there's some common threads that should hold over to be true.
He's just sitting there like a sponge, and now just taking in all the information, and it's just nodding, and yeah.
Then Evelyn will try and spend some time walking him through like some really basic mannerisms of like posture, stance, when to like speak, when not to speak, those kind of things. Who he should look like, who he should make sure that if he does end up, she very clearly says, if you end up becoming a noble through marriage, then you have noble blood in that sense. So like you have to treat people like they're below you in certain situations. More in the sense of like, so if he were to marry Lorana. What's her name? Lorana. Then anybody who's below Lorana's station, he needs to treat them in the same way, or else they'll roll over him. So he needs to act above them. Those kind of like things. So she's doing the difference of like how to treat somebody that's above you, how to treat somebody that's like below you, in primarily initially posture, stance, and mannerisms. She would spend some time doing that.
Yeah, and he's just listening intently, and at some points he looks like kind of concerned when you're telling him like you have to act like they are below you, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this. But I guess I'll try.
Right, so you have to think of it this way. If imagine, but you don't have to treat them poorly. A certain, if I treat you with the respect I would treat somebody higher than me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, bowing my head a little bit lower than yours, those kind of things. I've elevated you to a higher position of power than me. If you elevate someone to a higher position of power, then you're putting them above your wife,
Mm-hmm.
which is not what you want. You want to make sure they understand, no, they need to stay in their position of power. You're not granting them access to higher power. Those sort of things. It's not necessarily belittling somebody or treating them as beneath you, but addressing the proper position that they're in.
Kind of little bit like the ranks within an army, right? When the general treats his
Right.
soldiers a certain way.
You wouldn't have a general stand to attention when a normal soldier walks in the door, correct?
Yeah. I think I
It's the
slowly,
same concept.
slowly get it.
Hey, for no reason whatsoever, Red, can you roll me inside check with disadvantage?
Sure. I don't know if this matters. Insight check with disadvantage. 14.
Okay.
So back when Evelyn put the box, or gave the box to Retribution.
Mhm.
After that happened, because she made a very good point, and she might be mad at me later about this, but I want to let her do this, and then if Evelyn can make a wisdom saving throw, that would be great. She made a really good point, though, and she doesn't make good wisdom saves, and she gets charmed.
Yeah, all right.
I do have advantage on wisdom saves versus magic. I'm assuming this is
Okay,
magic.
yeah, for
correct?
sure. Yes, yeah. I'm just trying to modify your memory a little,
Uh-huh.
so you don't know where it
Before
is.
you modify her memory, I just want to double check if that is okay for both.
Yes, a good point.
parties.
Absolutely fine.
Okay.
I think she told me
Go
to do
ahead.
this, basically.
There's a 9.
Yeah. So
What do you
you
modify?
remember agreeing to put the box for now in the bag of holding,
Okay.
because the other two have access to retribution, so that might not be a safe thing to do.
Okay. Got it.
But you remember me saying, but if we need something to really put the hurt on vampires, we can still summon retribution.
Okay.
So you think that there's something.
The
Retribution will help
has
you.
Something.
And you totally remember the rest of what you did and like how to activate everything.
Okay.
You just
Perfect.
don't think that's
Yeah,
where the artifact
Just that
is.
one
Yeah.
specific thought. The box went into the bag of holding, not retribution. But I'm trying to let everybody think the box went to retribution.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's great.
Perfect.
And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to say, Evelyn, close your eyes and then knock this flower out of my hands. I'm going to focus on remembering all this is the really most important thing that I need to remember. I'm going to pull out my flower of...
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Okay.
Oh god.
So one question before. So where is the box actually?
The box is
bag of
actually with
holding.
retribution.
Okay. So
Oh, sorry.
Let me just.
No, it's in the bag of holding bag.
That's what Evelyn thinks.
Okay. So it's
It's actually with
it's
retribution.
in the bag of holding.
No,
No,
not at
it's
all.
with retribution.
Yeah.
But Evelyn thinks it's in the bag of holding.
Yes.
Yes.
But is telling everyone that it's on retribution.
No. She just remembers like kind of
Right,
planning that with Rhett, but
Okay,
then deciding
okay,
against it.
Let me just make a note. Retribution has the box.
You made really good points about something that's really strong.
And make a note for this house of cards on my notes. Let me see.
You mean these cards made out of steel beams? There's nothing going to destroy this plan.
All right.
This is a flawless plan, guys.
I guess,
And
yeah, Evelyn
now
would
you
try and knock
attempt to
the
wipe your
flower.
memory of the whole thing, or
Yeah, I don't know what the flower takes. That's up to you.
okay.
Yeah, Evelyn will, without touching it or looking at it herself, I think it's something along that. Yeah, because she had to close her eyes.
You gotta feel my
she
wisdom. Yeah, I do.
would do her best to knock the flower out of his hands.
I mean, you can willingly fail the save, Ren,
Okay.
but
And
I guess
I'm
hold on,
holding
I
this
need you
thought
to
in my
make
mind
some
as like
sort of
really
check. I
important.
just need to see which stat it is. Give me a second. I'm trying to think what would be most appropriate. Is it embarrassing for me to admit that I'm pulling up someone's character sheet? Just because I need
do it
to
all the
see
time.
what all of the checks are, because I can't just remember all of the skills that are in this game. All
That's
right. Okay. Like the other day when I forgot about animal handling. I'm gonna say, give me a deception check at disadvantage. Because you're effectively trying to deceive yourself.
I guess so. Yeah.
Alright, alright.
What is that?
These?
So it's a
10.
21.
21.
Jeez.
Okay. You focus on knowing nothing but this whole plan as you look into the Forget Me flower.
Wait. Do you also forget that you cast Modify Memory?
Yeah, probably. This is a good plan.
Then you wake up on the floor.
Do I remember even casting Sequester?
You see the flower on the ground. You remember you were about to set a whole plan in motion with the sun bomb, trying to make sure that it doesn't get into the wrong hands. And Evelyn is sitting in front of you, but the flower's on the ground, and you're on the ground for some reason.
Evelyn would have dropped something like a piece of cloth over top of it. As much as possible.
Okay.
And once she
Yeah.
taken a large piece
As
of
you
fabric.
sort of, from your perspective, as you not looking, swipe the flower out of his hand and it falls, you shortly after hear just a thump as you see that just going to the ground.
Right.
We hear that thump too.
If you are in the mansion, you'd probably see it across the room, that Red just kind of goes down on the ground.
Yeah, we'll just run over and be like, what happened?
And Evelyn covers the
I-
flower.
I think he was not thinking and pulled out a flower that
No, okay. I'm gonna try to look at her eyes. I have this really good plan about. I just need to wait. Why do I feel weaker right now?
you looked
Oh,
up
shit.
the flower.
Okay.
You guys are weird.
Right now, Red, your mind is racing to think whether or not the plan you're thinking of right now is the plan that you did and you made yourself
Exactly.
forget. But now you're trying to think whether or not you would have changed your mind and done something different, because you obviously don't want to remember if you did do the thing that you're thinking that you wanted
Oh
to
my
do
goodness.
and then forgot.
So what? Just to clarify, where are we telling everybody? Where would
I
Evelyn
don't know.
Evelyn believes that it. And I know you don't know. Evelyn believes she put the box into the bag of holding. She also believes
Yes.
Retribution has something that is strong against vampires.
Yeah. I told you about something else we found.
Right.
Hey,
I
we
can't
found
remember
this other thing.
if that was letting people assume that we still have Retribution with the box, or are we letting Silas and Hux also believe that it's
I
in the
think
bag
that's
of holding?
I think that's kind of up to you at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
my
don't think
brain
that
is
I
hurting.
think my brain hurts.
I think we've all broken each other's brains throughout this.
Yes.
It's wonderful. Nobody knows where this thing
memory
is.
cards on me.
You go ahead and charm us now, beggar. You'll get nothing.
We don't even know where it's at.
Dude, someone's gonna read your mind and their head is gonna explode.
Oh yeah. What?
And then
kind
just
of messed up.
5 minutes later, someone just randomly thinks about retribution, sees the thing, and just like, oh, there it is. And everything is...
Well,
Wait,
no, it's
why
just
is he
gonna be a
holding a
box
box?
that's empty.
Oh.
It's totally invisible. It's just gonna be an empty box. You're gonna be like, this is useless.
Someone just happens to say, "Oh man, I could really use a sunbomb right now."
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh,
Well, that just makes it not invisible and detectable.
all right.
So what do you tell all three of us, Evelyn? What we need to know? This
I
is
don't
what we
even
need to
know.
know.
Well, if she believes that it's in the bag of holding,
Hmm.
then she's gonna tell people that Retribution has it.
This is flawless.
This is
Because
perfect.
she's
No.
gonna have said the
No.
opposite, unless you would have convinced her the other way around. Like I'm trying to, because she
yeah,
wouldn't
right,
tell
right. I
people
think-
where it was.
Right. I think that we need to. That I definitely want to say we need to not summon Retribution at all anymore in here, because it's got something really dangerous to vampires.
Okay, but so she's not even gonna
So
tell
we
people
don't
then
want-
where it is,
Okay.
unless they ask, and then if she really had to, she would tell them the box is in the bag of holding. But she's not gonna summon Retribution, unless they
Right.
need to fight a vampire.
Perfect. This is flawless.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm crying.
It would have been so funny if you told everyone it was with Retribution, so everything was completely for nothing.
Oh my god. All right. So after that whole thing, is there anything else you'd be doing right now?
I think I
Oh,
need
man,
a drink.
I'm taking naps.
Okay. I'm assuming you spend the rest of the day sort of tending to your own things.
Yeah.
Evelyn would be working
And-
with Silas.
Yeah,
Eventually,
definitely.
heading to your long rest.
Yes.
I do know that we're without Vidar. Make a note that hey, vampirism lycanthropy popped up like 650 years ago. Vidar is either confused or lying. Here's the library books that I borrowed. See if you come to that
Oh, but
conclusion.
now Evelyn needed a nap.
Wow.
Now she's got another thing to sink her teeth into.
Time to make a timeline.
Oh man. Evelyn will
Unless I forgot.
Evelyn will look confused and like but like, also extremely curious and take the books from you and start kind of trying to read through them and understand what you're talking about.
And Red thinks that his plan of distracting Evelyn has worked.
Silas was distracting Evelyn, but all of a sudden she took
It's
the books
true.
instead of
Now
teaching
you
him.
got she's just like
Well,
practice walking
yeah.
back and forth and then she's sitting down with books. Every now and then
I'm
chiming
sorry,
in.
I
Oh, yeah,
tried to
she
at least
just
let you
reads
summon.
the books and now and then looks up. No, the posture. No, yeah, better.
No,
Stay like
tilt your-
that.
Tilt your chin up a little bit
I
more.
mean, there's no more
Shoulders back.
distracted Evelyn than right now. Just multitasking.
Yeah.
To
You mean-
her
you mean like
extreme.
this?
Oh my god.
And he just...
Like 2 degrees difference,
This way?
opposite direction.
Okay.
Like half-hearted, like, but still accurate and like very like intent on telling you, but like mostly of her attention is on the books now.
So and this is how I move.
And his
When I'm
red string is
invited by
like,
some...
No,
by
now
some...
that you've turned around, you need to.
We're just undoing everything that Evelyn's
Yeah, oh
saying.
my god.
Oh my gosh.
So and this is
Well,
how
you
I
see,
have...
once you get good at the rules, you have to know the rules to break the rules. See?
Ah. So this is how I have to move when I visit someone of the same rank, but also there are people present of a lower rank, and then I have to. His brain just looks like it's about to fry.
His brain is also exploding.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, Ilan.
Evelyn will probably stay up late into the night reading over books
Mhm.
and then sleep in the next day.
Okay. And as you're headed in for a long rest, I think this is a good place to end for the night. I don't know about you guys, but my brain is steaming right now.
I think
For no reason.
I think Silas is gonna have nightmares of his parents-in-law, of
Uh-huh.
meeting them and just doing the wrong posture and whatnot, and it's just like messing everything up.
Just wait until she's like, okay, now it's dancing lessons.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
That might go better.
Well, I'm good at acrobatics.
Except she's going to
Perceptions.
have Rhett stand in as dance
Oh.
partner.
I mean, he's a good dancer, right?
I am a very good dancer.
He is
that's
a good
true.
dancer, and he's the right height. He's the best
Yeah.
match for height.
He definitely has
True.
rhythm. Feel for rhythm. All right. Thank you guys for session.
Thank you, Becker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe there is a short thing we gotta talk